right, you guys ready? Moment of truth. And it sucks. All right, we're back. You may have noticed that I don't have the panel on there below the dashboard. As a matter of fact, I didn't even reinstall it after I replaced the blower motor recently, because I knew that I had to address the issue that we are going to address today. Some of you more astute Mercedes enthusiasts will notice the issue straight away, and some may not. I know that I did not for quite some time, actually, because the issue was not as bad as it is now. As a matter of fact, I thought my door was at fault, but that was incorrect. Let's zoom in and we'll show you what we're talking about. All right, you see the wood trim on the dashboard? You see the wood trim on the door? You see how they don't align? The top of the wood trim on the dashboard is supposed to align with the top of the wood trim on the door. What is going on with that? You might ask yourself. For the longest time, it didn't really bother me, because it was, the difference was about that much. I'm like, okay, that's odd. And then I had a project where I pulled this door panel off, you may recall that, and basically did a lot of repair work, replaced the check strap and a bunch of other stuff. And I reinstalled the door, and I put it back on there, and the problem got a little worse. And I was like, man, the first thing that came to mind was, okay, I reinstalled the door panel incorrectly, or the door is out of alignment. And I looked at the door alignment extensively and realized clearly that's not the issue. And I thought to myself, surely the dashboard is not falling off of the car. How is that even a thing, right? How does a dashboard sag in a car? I was in disbelief. I was like, nah, that can't be right. That's ridiculous. That can't be the issue. So I ignored it. Well, come to find out that Mercedes does in fact have adjustments for the dashboard, and there is an adjustment right up underneath that far right-hand corner, and let's go take a look at that right now. All right, we got you down here underneath the dashboard, and I think you can see the adjustment bolt in question that we will be using to move our dash upward. So here's the bolt, and it goes through a bracket. And the bracket has a slotted, it's got a slot in it, so you can adjust the dashboard up or down. And that's what we're going to do now. You can tell right here that if I give a little upward pressure on the dashboard, it's kind of difficult actually, that it moves a little bit. But yeah, I need to be in a better position, really. I need to be on this side of the car to make it happen. So I think to make my life a little bit easier, I've got a bottle jack. I'm going to place that here in the floorboard and get myself a little wood or piece of wood or something. And I think what we'll do is we'll probably put upward pressure on the steel part, on the bracket itself, and maybe distribute the pressure to keep from tearing things up. But anyway, that's the general theory. So up next, let's go ahead and get this dash a little higher in the air, bolt it in place, and get our trim lined up. All right, let's give this a shot, and let's just see what kind of damage we can prevent from doing. Easy. Not jacking up a car, we're jacking up, a bunch of plastic and that kind of thing. Plastic and wires and little bits of metal and all kind of shoehorned together to make a dashboard. I'm going to check my alignment on my, well, we got a ways to go. Holy cow. Okay, maybe that won't work. Let's see how much we got left here on our adjustment. Up a few ticks there. I'm going to come over here and push from the end. And let's shut the door and check the fitment. That's still pretty off. All right, I had to go get a piece of wood to get my jack a little closer to the edge. Let's see if we can't make this work. Yeah, it's going up nicely. We're going to run out of adjustment on our bracket though. All right, that's up pretty firm. Let me shut the door. I don't want to hit the jack. Yeah, I'm going to hit the jack. I need to check my, I'm just looking at the trim. Looks like we're still probably not quite a 1/4 of an inch down. That's what I'm looking at right there. We're still down. The dash is still lower than the door. And that's our gap right there. I think I need to take a measurement from this vent to here and compare it against the driver's side and investigate further. All right, so this is the driver's side, looking at the edge of the dash and seeing a noticeable gap here. And I can see, of course, I'm down looking up, so I see a gap there. But when I'm at eye level, it looks pretty good. And of course, with the door shut, you can't tell. But these line up with this on the driver's side. However, I can see a gap here on the driver's side of the dash between the trim and the dash. Now we come over here to the passenger side. The story gets a little more complex. We have no room whatsoever. Of course, the trim moves a little bit. And it looks like the trim has come off. Let's just pull that away a little bit and see. That's interesting. I wonder what that looks like on the driver's side. Let's go over there and compare. All right, we're back over here. So let's see. Can we? No, it's readily. Well, no. There we go. Yeah, let's just pull that away. All right. So the dash clearly comes to, I guess, the base of this flange here, and then the trim simply slips into place normally. That's interesting. Let's go back to the driver's, or let's go back to the passenger side. Okay, I had to confirm what I was looking at. Wow, okay, so the trim, the weather stripping stuff is supposed to go on this, but this looks like somebody's been monkeying around with the dashboard. They've had this dashboard out of this car, I think. I believe this piece is supposed to go back behind here, right? So this should not be getting, it should not overlap here. It should not be getting in the way of the weather stripping. So it looks like I've uncovered a little deeper problem, and some head scratching is up next. This keeps getting deeper and deeper. So this exterior vinyl is supposed to go on that side of the weather stripping channel. What can we do? So I'm just sitting here experimenting now, because clearly there's the issue is deeper than I originally anticipated. So if we pull outward like this, okay, so there's a pivot action. So we could probably, if we pivoted the dash, you know, like that, there's a lot of play. Does that get, I believe, yeah, so this dash is not lower, it's pivoted downward. So if we pivot it back upward like that, what does that do for our mounting point? Just remove the bolt for right now. We pivot it upward. Yep, brings it way out. Of course, you know, if you needed to, you could put a spacer in there. So I was kind of wondering earlier, the hardware that was in there, where'd it go? There it is. You had a, you have a bolt with a little square head. I can't recall, the carriage bolt. That's what it's called. You had this really thick spacer here. And I was like, but it was just under the nut, you know, not doing anything. I'm guessing that spacer was between these two brackets for the purposes of, you know, adjusting the dash alignment. Because if we take that completely out, we can just do whatever we want. And I believe that'll bring us into alignment. But on the bracket underneath here, you got a big gap between the brackets. So I'm going to guess that there's probably a lot more spacers that were in there and they're gone. Clearly this was not installed correctly. Somebody's been in here messing around with this thing. And the spacers were supposed to go between the two brackets. So I think that is what has happened. So a couple of things got to happen here. I need to pull this out gingerly and then see if I can't work this side of the vinyl into, in back behind the weather stripping channel where it should be, and then determine how much spacer, how many spacers we're going to need between the brackets, and then bolt the thing back together. So I think that's my general plan for right now. More head scratching. We'll be right back. All right. What kind of damage can we do? This thing is just a basket case. Look at that. Whoever did this needs to have a talking to. So that dash material has been crammed up against that channel for so long, it's kind of bent outward. So tucking it back underneath there is going to be a challenge, but one I think I can willing to undertake. Is it higher than the door now? I'm willing to take that. I can adjust it downward easily. Adjusting it upward is the hard part. Now if we get it right there, the brackets actually touch now, believe it or not. The vinyl being stuck on the outside of that channel was the interference problem we were having. So I think we figured that out. So now maybe if I just bolt that up just like that, that might do the trick actually. And I'm going to do it without any spacers and without dropping the hardware. Yeah, right. Come on now. You got to stay up there. You know what? I think I'm going to have to incorporate my bottle jack. Let's do that. You guys probably can't see anything. Let's see. Let's get my orientated. And if you can't see anything, I'm sorry, but this is what's going on. This is the way it is. All right, now this should make our job a lot easier. See, we can raise it up there where it ought to be now. All right, let's check the alignment and see where it's at. This is going to be tricky. All right, you're probably not going to be able to see anything. Man, we're pretty good. It's only down by about 1/8 of an inch now. So maybe if I jack it up a little more, we'd be spot on. Now all I did was close the door and look at the wood trim on the door and the dash and made sure that they lined up, which they were still a little bit off. Let's see how much play is left in our bracketry. That could be as far as that jack goes. That may be in fact the case. Let me put this block of wood underneath it. All right, got a little block of wood underneath there. Let's try again, shall we? Okay, now check the alignment again. That is about as good as I'm gonna get it. That looks way better than it did. So good, the unknowing may in fact miss it entirely. As far as it's gonna go there, buddy. You no sense in jacking on it anymore. Put our useless spacer on there and drop the nut. I have no idea how this one little 10mm bolt is going to hold this. All right, I think I'm confident enough to go ahead and reinstall the weather stripping trim. It won't be perfect, but it'll be way better than it was. Let's just see how good of a job we did. All right, you guys ready? Moment of truth. And it sucks. About 1/4 inch off. So, if I pivot this thing out, I'm going to need some spacers. I thought maybe I could do it without putting spacers in it. But I think what I'm going to do is go find a handful of washers, put some spacers between those two brackets, which will allow this dash to pivot up and out like that. So I think I'm going to try that off camera, and I'll be right back. All right, I think I have this adjusted about as good as I can get it without removing the dashboard from the car in its entirety. Now, you will see that the line of the dash does in fact coincide, or just lines right up with the door trim. However, the dash is now out a little too far. This edge here is supposed to line up with this contoured edge here, and it's about a 1/4 inch out too far. And that's the reason for that is because of the spacer that I put in there in the dash mounting bracket down below. I'll show you that in one moment. I think someone has been into this car and has had this dash out, or at least been messing around with this end of the dash and didn't put it back together properly. I think that's clearly the case. But at least the dash is now nice and solid. It was rattling around quite a bit, to be honest with you. It was, I mean, you could watch it, you know, it was not in a good state at all. At least now it's stabilized. At some point, I'm gonna need to get in here and change out one of these really, really hard to get to vacuum modulators. It's gonna require removal of the console completely. And at that point, whenever I decide to do that, I'll probably take the whole dash out and then try to figure out what exactly is going on in here. But for now, I think we've thoroughly reviewed at least a couple of items that you can adjust or tweak, if you will, if your dashboard is a little bit out of alignment. And here is the spacer that I made for the bracket. Here's the dash bracket, and here's where it mounts to the car. I went and bought an extra long bolt from the local parts house, same size and thread and everything, so that the original nut would screw onto it. And there's the original spacer. Not sure where that's supposed to go, but I assumed this spacer was supposed to go in between here. But basically what I did was I took 3 nuts and I taped them together to make one spacer and just slipped that into there like that. And you know, you won't be able to see that once you get the cover back on there below the dash. All right, folks, job done for a Friday afternoon. That's about as good as I can get it without taking the dashboard out completely, I do believe. At least the dashboard won't be jiggling up and down, and it won't be sagging any longer, and I won't be able to look at that gap up there and that gap over there. It does stick out a little too far, but I'm willing to live with that for now, at least until I can get this dash completely out of here and fully address whatever it is truly wrong way in back behind there. But we're not going to address that this weekend because I have to pick back up on the old Cadillac project because I'm waiting on parts and they're going to be in tomorrow. All right, folks, that's all for now. I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a good one, and remember to enjoy driving, maintaining, and restoring your classic Mercedes.